let's get this on the road, shall we? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. We're going to be continuing our adventure on the Sky Factory. And let's go ahead and let's just get this started, shall we? Let me just quickly load up Minecraft. And let me just go ahead and switch screens over here. So now, there we go. Alright. So, if you guys haven't tuned in yet, to the last stream, what we did was made some improvements to the base. Got rid of those 3 string blocks that were up there. Caused a whole bunch of birch trees to turn to string, and now I have even more of it, which, let's be honest, don't really need, especially since the what we have is already plenty, as you can see. But it's alright. And if you couldn't tell by the bottom down here, there is a lot of gravel. And that's because I did say at the end of the last stream that I was going to go off camera and just break this block with 3 brand new stone hammers and the rest of the last stone hammer, and that got us 5.5 stacks of gravel, which, you know, once fully crafted, will get us, let's see, $39 and a bit of compressed gravel, which hopefully makes a lot of good ores. Oh, and I did forget about this. So I also got rid of a lot of monsters in there. There was about, I think, 15 of them in there once I was done breaking that, and I got a loot bag from it. So I'm going to very quickly empty the inventory a bit. Now let's see what's in the common loot bag. An egg, some worms, and prismarine shards. Alright. Hopefully this egg can actually get me a chicken, because if not, that's gonna be really sad. Which I'm honestly thinking it's probably not, but I don't think there's a recipe that allows me to get more eggs. I would have a chance to find chicken, so yeah, it looks like use dyes, use flint, sand. So it looks like I can make a whole bunch, but it all requires the basic egg. So it'd probably be best to get the basic egg first, but yeah. Now, I don't even want to throw that yet, because if that does spawn a chicken, I don't want to lose said chicken. Get that out of there, because I'm pretty sure I have, yeah, I have more in this chest. But let's go ahead and let's sift all the gravel and see if we can get anything good. I'm hoping we do, because otherwise it would not be very, very good. Alright. It is going to take a while to get through it, so I'll sift through a little bit at a time at each part of the stream. So now we don't get... Oh! Got 2 diamonds! So now we're up to 3 of them. Got more gold, more iron, more nickel, a lot more iron pieces, some more coal. But yeah, I'm really happy about the diamonds, because eventually I can make the diamond stiffened mesh, which when used can get me a lot of good resources. For example, better chance at cobalt and ardite once I figure out how to get crushed netherite. Gravel has a higher chance to get me diamonds, slight chance at emeralds, more lapis, more coal, and gold pieces. In the heavy sieve, same thing, just, you know, multiplied out. Which is really, really nice. Yeah, more gold pieces will definitely be helpful. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take some of these iron ore pieces to make chunks and start smelting that. The rest in there. And today I actually want to also work on making a actual like house this way with storage and a bed and whatnot, as well as work on down there, because there is a lot of stuff down there that has to be filled in. So first, let's go ahead and grab all the oak I have, since that's the main building block for the island part. Let's go ahead, make some slabs. We can build out this way. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Alright. Right here is where the base part is going to start. I want it to be 25 blocks away. So in that way, I at least have something that's pretty far from that, in case, like, maybe, like, the farther away I am, the better. And we'll also quickly get rid of this stuff in here, because it could be interfering with more monsters later. Alright, this in here. Alright. Now, I do want to make this, the base part, looking a little bit nice at least. So I'm going to use some cobblestone as well. To like mark it out. So right here is going to be like the main entrance. And we also, one side effect of having water to save us at times is I get a lot of squids. And yeah, squids can be used to make a lot of stuff. But unfortunately most of it is building stuff or requires like only one piece of it is actually like a usable unit. If you couldn't tell. But you can make an ink black chicken. Alchemy tables allows us to get, you know, some pretty cool stuff. Potion flasks, blindness, I guess. Ice monsters, so we can get some fused quartz and make the empowered void crystal. So there's not really a whole bunch of uses for it, unfortunately. But oh well. Right. So I'm thinking for the base, I'm gonna have it 4 out in each direction, and then because it is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you go back, so it's 11 blocks this way now too. And then go back this way. So in that way I can make a full square. And I'm going to fill the inside in. This block here. And keep going. And this way, in case something goes wrong with, you know, the wood island, I'll still have a building platform that I can use again. Because if a lightning storm were to happen, I don't really have a way to skip it. And I don't have a lot of safe platforms. I have that platform there, which is literally just for cobblestone and getting gravel. This right here, which is now going to be the base area, and then that tiny little safe zone, which will not do much in a disaster. Get over here. Alright. Let's see. I will grab the oak leaves. And what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna try to make it look pretty. Not just a platform. Actually, wait, I do have a way to skip it. I have a bed over there that I made on like day 1 or 2. Grab this. Place down there. And make some more slabs. This map should do for the rest of it. I'll have leftovers, but I don't think it'll be crafted leftovers. Yep. Go. And am I able to? Okay, I can put it back together. Cool. I'm surprised that function's not in the main game yet. Like even in modern ones, I'm surprised it's not in it. Go 3 there. Go up 3, 3, 3 here. Go back here. Do another 3. Over here once again. 1, 2, 3. All right. And now because since this is an odd number, right here I believe is the center, so I'm going to do that. I'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to do this around some of the build as well. So what I'm going to do is make some stairs. And I do need to make a new hammer. So I want some sand. And the way to get sand is to break gravel, which you get from breaking this step of the hammer. Is that 6? That is 6. Okay. And I know I also have some in here. Let me do this. As long as it doesn't go too far away. Should have all 12. Perfect. And now I can smelt it. And that'll be really, really good. And then once that's smelted, I'll go ahead and make some glass panes, put in there. Till then, let's go ahead and do this part. Made 20 of these, and let's see how many I'll do for this. Oh, I also need to do it back here. Alright, so I still need to craft 3 more sets. Yep. Should be all of it that I need. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do this, because that is directional, which is nice. What the? Give me place that down. I haven't been able to do a Neo jump yet. Not that skilled at the game yet. That's why I'm playing it for eons. But oh well. Let's go ahead and get another thing going. There we go. Go ahead and grab all the wood from here so now I can put it in the house. And I know I'm going to want more leaves. I'll go ahead and spend some of the iron. Some of these grabs the entire tree. Oh. Okay. So these shears don't collect except the clay ones do. So it's better to use clay then. Okay. Good to know. Clay is just a little expensive, so it's not my best interest to use it. I'd say expensive, it's practically free now, but okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go around and place the leaves into all those spots I want them. Oh, shit. Go. Alright. So now that's all the spots that I want them in. But I'm going to do double up like this. And that way. It's a little bit better. From all angles. Here we go. Like that. And make some panes. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so I do have enough panes to do it all the way around, which I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. Oh, I miscounted. Severely. So that's 8, that's 8. So yeah. Alright, so it looks like I need 2 more sets. So I need another 12 bits, but I only need 10 gravel from here. Because I already got 2 in the other chest. Oh, got that one before it burned, but not that one, unfortunately. And is this the last one? Yes. Now, I'm actually gonna do the sifting thing in here. Because it can't escape from right here very easily. It's just gonna shoot all around the room. Oh, it ended up way up there. Okay. Alright, there we go. I know it's a waste of a coal, but I have 31 here, and I haven't even burned up this entire stack yet. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go ahead and do another 9 of these real quick, but I do want to make some more room in my inventory before I do, because if it gets messed up in some way, I don't want to lose some valuables. I'm actually thinking use some of this to make a double chest. You know, I already had another single chest. Just gonna throw it to this corner and to here. So I'll throw out some of the building supplies that I want to use for the house. Not the hammer, that's not a building supply, that's a tool. Alright, let's go ahead. Actually, let me go ahead and get rid of this tree as well. I don't want anything interfering while I try to get the ore. So I try to get the ore. and something goes wrong, I'm gonna be really upset. Alright. Just gonna break some of this away. Alright. Let's go ahead and start sifting the next 9 pieces. And let's see if I get more goodies. Already looks like I'm getting quite a few pieces of gold, iron, and lead, which is nice. I already got the lead or the iron from making the shears, and I just got a bonus piece. And alright, 4 of these. Then I can make now 1 of these, almost 2 of these. Some lapis, some coal, and some nickel. Not bad. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm only missing 1 diamond. Yeah, I'm only missing 1 diamond, so that's fine. Alright, let's go ahead and let's fill in the last of the panes. At least for the first section, which is all I need for now. Very careful while placing the glass so I don't mess it up. There we go. Alright. That's that. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill in some more logs. Alright. Saplings are over here. Go. And out of food. Fine. Ah, composted one. Damn it. Dang it. Alright. Let's go ahead and grow it. Looks like I have some mobs in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that too. Clear that out. And nothing of importance really, but oh. I'm also going to very quickly grab 1. I said I'm going to grab 1. Go. There's my trusty bucket. It's not on me. It's not on me. I know I have a bucket. Somewhere. It's probably like staring right in front of my face. I'm not even seeing it. Oh. Yep. Unfired clay shears. Let's go ahead and fire them up. Oh, might as well sleep. Make it day. Grab that, throw that in. 2 more. And rinse and repeat. go ahead and make another tree. Yeah, because like I immediately got a sapling back after using the clay shears. Unfortunately, they break really quick, but actually, I think the better item is actually no, this is good because I can make leaves into compost. Alright, I need just a few more. Let's go ahead and let's keep going. Alright. Construction, grab the next one. It takes 8 of them to do that, and I get a lot of leaves. I think it's actually crazy how much I get. Alright. Let's go ahead and get the last of this part in. I do want to get some torches up as well as use some of the birch. Make some stairs. And this is going to wrap all the way around the top like this. Oh, perfect. That was nice. Let's go ahead and start composting some more dirt. Because I eventually want to turn this into like the nature section, this into the mine section, this to the monster section. Oh, zombie villager. Neat. Dirt. Alright, let's go ahead and make these now. I think this amount won't do. I already know, but I'll get a decent start. Maybe it'll be enough. Oh, I think it's gonna be just a little bit more than enough. Yep. Alright. Go up here, grab these. Alright, now let's make some pillars. I can then use. Alright, you have one there, one there, one there, one there. Go on top of here. Add a few more. There we go. So that should be nice and lit up. Where nothing should spawn now. Grab some more dirt. And compost a little bit more. So there we go. That's now a good majority of the house done now. Let's see if I can start like automating some stuff. That would be very nice. Am I able to make a crusher? Oh, wow. Atomic reconstructor. Casing which requires black quartz, which you get from sieving soul sand at a 7% chance with the flint. And only the flint. Okay. So how do I make soul sand? What is the easiest way to do it? Which water plus sand in a stone barrel makes soul sand? That is definitely a recipe. Now, how on earth does one make witch water? That I am genuinely confused by. I actually don't know. That's gonna bug me for a little bit, but that's fine. I mean, I do have 4 chances. What could this stuff be used for? Lots of ring effects, which requires the diamantine crystal block, which comes from rare loot bags, reconstructing a diamond, so it still requires this. Which is like the main thing stopping the progression. Because I need a lot of these and a lot of these, apparently. Flint will be fine, the iron casing will be okay, but this requires one, this requires one, this requires one, this requires one, and this requires one. I need 5 of them. And I only get 1 if I hit each 7%. Oh. I can make dirt with it. That's cool. How do I make a stone barrel? It's probably 7 stone. I'm gonna go ahead and shift all these down because I think it stops. Once it's full. Just not good, but oh well. Alright. Now, let's go ahead and get some more dirt going. But I only got 13, I need way more than that. Oh, I can use the many seeds I get. make some more. The biomash. Just make fertilizer. Oatmeal can be craft. Yeah, much of the mash fire craft. No mash and putting those comments away for a bit when the mash closes. Just take it by right clicking against. First for some other option. Oh yeah, I forgot I made that. So now I got fertilizer. That's cool. Put that in there for now. Alright. Stone barrel? No. Is it smelted? Because it does look smelted, so maybe... It is smelted, and it requires a stone slab too. It requires a few extra pieces. Requires actually 2 more. I'm gonna take that out and put that in there. Alright. We're already doing that. I will be able to do that soon, now that I think about it. I think it's contract smoke 3 for processing. Oh yeah, tinkers. I will click this even though it's not automated. Still what's that? Rare loot bag and how to use your dirt chest. I'll open that up in a second, but welcome. Usage. We warranty dirt chests. That's a. I'll keep that for gits and shiggles. And here we got spice rack and a glistering melon. What can this be used for? Exosuit stress sensor. Making instant health flask, and vial of mending and flask of mending. I don't even know what this does, but cool, I guess. And that's just going, so yay with that. Very big yay. Alright, got that. Now I can make stone barrel, which I'm just gonna put right here. Turn this into a new cobblestone. While that's going, go ahead and make even more. That. Plant one of those down. How big does the grass thing have to be? Just a field of grass blocks 25 blocks away. Alright. Does that say block of snad over there? This proves to the world that sand grows sugarcane faster than dirt with a block of snad. What on earth is snad? It's 2 sands stacked on top of each other. What? That's interesting. I guess. I have 27 dirt. Never mind, I have 29 dirt. Cool. Alright, I'm just gonna grow this real quick. Eat some apples. And then shred the tree. Which did not give me very more of that. That is fine. Alright. They were once planted. Fill everything around the 3x3 area and keep it wet. Oh. So, this is just free farmland. Oh. Oh dear. Oh. Oh my god. That. Is there any use for these? Like, at all. Any use? Or is it just... Because I have way too many of them now. Not really. So I guess I'll just throw them all off the side then. But hey, I got more loot bags. Jeff. Ooh! A free diamond! Wait, that's enough. The squids have gifted me a diamond. And now I have the diamond stiffened mesh. There we go. So now, what could this be used for? Controller, 1,000 storage part, 64,000 fluid, conduit probe, remote awareness upgrade, powered light, silicone seeds, armor plating, printed silicone, sorry, electrical steel, and zombie electrode. What can this be used for? Rod of return requires other stuff as well. The Yeta wrench. That's a lot of stuff it can do. Electromagnet. Item conduit speed upgrade. That's just a lot of stuff for it. Oh. Alright, come on, look back. What do you got? Chicken, slime, and beef. Actual meat. I have actual food. Chicken jerky. Sorry. Beef, beef jerky, compost furnaces, the vat, and this. I can make gelatinous slime drop, rune of summer, make a cactus with it, I guess. Silk touch. Empowered emeraldic crystal. And the collapse imbue. And the imbuing stitches. Slime boots. Packing tape. Circle spell bullet poster. There's a lot of stuff that I can use with it. Seems like. But ultimately, I don't think we'll be using it. Alright. I think that's all I'll put in there. Some water. Put in this. Or maybe I take this out. Place it. I don't know. Here. That put in there. Alright. Make obsidian with a stone barrel. So there is a way to do it. Oh, I wonder if it's like... Ah, it's like that. But hey, I got obsidian. What can I use? Oh, wow. There's a lot of stuff we can make with obsidian. Oh. You know what? I'll make some armor. I'll make some very costly armor. Oh, and the tree has grown now, so time to chop it. And we got a lot of monsters in the thing now, so that's cool. Oh, get rid of that paper before it goes boom. Alright. Just gotta make sure I keep that full and then grab the lava when I can. What else can I make with this? Ender tanks and ender chests. A lot of them. Voidstone, shield projector. Well, that's pretty cool. Block protector. Uses blocks to slide data blocks protective against explosions and other breakage. Ooh. Divine shield. Alright. What else? Extreme melter, incinerator, thermal engine. Oh, there's the beacon enchantment table. Portal charm, mob filter. I don't have leather, but oh, oh. That's cool. Alright. Now I gotta actually get rid of this wood armor, which I've had for quite a while. I'm surprised it's still alive. Go. Alright, let's see how the squids down here are doing. A lot more insects that I do not need. But we did get a new loot bag, which is nice. Just ups. Oh, wow. I found the hoe. Endstone, prismarine, more silicon. Go ahead and throw this chest. Yep. Alright. I'll grab this. I'm pretty sure this can be hammered down. Yep. Which I can get chorus flower, ender shard, and ender lily. Okay. And this obviously can make into the. But other than that, what else can I? Void Resource Miner Collector Tier 1. Whatever that means. Pearl Block, Endstone Wedge, Ender Bridge, Drone Case. Tier 1 and Tier 2. Hover Upgrade Tier 2. Quantum Core. Mine blocks from hypothetical dimension that might have existed. It requires actuators to be attached to all sites. Well, I do have 4, so what else do I need? Resonator with polished stone, which is from using 4 stone bricks together. To make this, I need the ender shard, so which requires me to break one of these. Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some of this into the chest over here as well. Ooh, which reminds me. Hey, lava! Have some more food. Oh, I thought I lost that piece. Because there's nothing protecting it. So, I guess, just so that doesn't happen again and I actually lose a piece, I should probably actually, you know, make the thing down there. A little platform. Let's go ahead and grab these 2 out of here. Oh! Oh my goodness. 32,000 durability? I don't need anything else if I have that. Oh my god. I don't want to sleep right now. I want to be able to do my thing. Oh, I can get prismarine shards. But it could give me some chippings. So all the woods can give me chippings, crush netherrack. How do I even make this netherrack? Lava and redstone. Put in the thing and you get netherrack. Okay. And when I crush that, I can then use it on this and I have a chance to get the cobalt and the ardite. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. What the hell? Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Oh, don't blow up. Okay, that was a mob. That was weird. I thought someone was in my world for a moment. I'm like, excuse me? Hello? There's so many squids dying right here. Oh, more loot packs. I'll go ahead and check that off. That off. Ooh, there's a new one. Check that off. Cool. Alright. Guess I'll just throw some more of the random stuff in here for now. Cause I got 3 new loot bags to open. Let's go. Comment has a single prismarine crystal. Which... Oh, I don't know how to get any of this. I only have 1. So, not very much use. Second item. Oh. Punji sticks, nether quartz, Lexica Botania, and Podzol. There, okay. So, that I guess I can just... I did not even bother reading it. I did not realize it was a tutorial thing. Baconator accepts a lot of food. Congeal the blood slime block and blue slimy dirt. Cool, I guess. Oh, good. And then some weird item. Alright. Buy a Podzol now. So that's cool. Oh, there's the dirt test 9000. Which just requires 8 dirt. So I guess I should go get the dirt. Make a chest and see what that's about. That was a very horrible way of making that. Since I don't know what this does, I don't want to place it anywhere important. So just place it here. Is its only purpose to store that? Oh my. Well, that was dumb. But we warned you. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that could mean. Is there a way I can make better clay shears? Let's see. Shears. What do we got? Mana steel shears, elementium shears, golden shears, stone shears, supremium shears. diamond shears. Gold shears, emerald shears. I can make a lot of different. Oh my god. Wooden shears? Okay. Does it only store dirt? Yeah, only stores dirt. Oh, weird, I guess, but alright. Alright, well, now I have 4 obsidian. Alright, guess what I could do now is just start sifting the gravel on this. Which I guess that's what I'm gonna do. I won't get any more iron, but I'll get more diamonds, more gold, and possibly emerald. Yeah, I do have no spots. Alright. Let's see, will I get lucky, or is this all gonna be a waste of time? Let's see. Oopsies. That mean to do that. Only 5 more pieces to go. There, last 2, and we'll see where we're at. Looks like we made profit with gold by 1 piece. Got more lapis, got 10 more diamonds. Yeah, definitely much better. And I got a single emerald, which is really good. Because I think that's the only way I can get emeralds right now. Let's see, what are your uses? Oh, emerald chest plate and pants. That's cool. Feature absorber and dimension editor. Which is almost craftable. I just don't know how to get redstone. Oh, sieve dust. At diamond level. And it'll give me a 10% chance. So if I dig down like this, I can also make a diamond hammer. It'll actually be profitable because I got almost 10 from 20. We'll throw that in there with a piece of mini coal, which I believe will burn 1 item in total. And then I can eat this. And I can eat that, and I can eat this. Alright. And then if I use it here, there we go. There's a redstone, piece of glowstone, and 2 more gold. I can make a glowstone block. that's pretty cool. And what I'll very quickly do is actually install it into my roof. Before I go too far, I'm going to load this up with more cobblestone. Get my obsidian. I'm going to break this, as well as the 4 blocks around it. Except for one, so I'm going to place that in. Break this. And then I gotta look at the top block. Top part. Boom. 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 And boom. There we go. I actually like how that looks. I don't know why I keep looking there. It's not gonna change. Do have a lot of clay shears. I'm gonna go to town on the birch leaves over there and then get rid of the logs. Just gonna go ahead and put all this stuff into here. Actually, I'll take these 2 axes, even though they'll probably not be enough, so that I can only destroy 37 logs with them, but no, maybe. Let's break that. Throw cobblestone into there. Do have 5 pieces, so what I'm going to quickly do is grab this, make the axe, make the sword. So now I only need the pickaxe and the shovel. I only need 4 more pieces. And that's what I was afraid of when it comes to the clay shears. They break so fast. I'm pretty sure all the other shears will do the exact same thing as the iron shears. I'm also going to go ahead and put this back. There. It'll be better to just chop them. Yeah, I have a feeling that my axe is not going to survive all these trees. Both of them. Pretty sure they're both going to break. That's fine. Alright, let's load this up with more cobblestone. I don't have my bucket. My bucket's over here. There we go. So now I can make a shovel. And now I just need to make the last little thing. That is going to be the pickaxe. And I can have the very insane multi-tool. And there are a lot of squids dying underneath me, so I'm going to very quickly chop as many of these as I can, then go down and see if there's any bags. I'm just gonna break this with my fist, because I think it's this one and 2 more trees. Yeah. But first, what do we got down here? Too many ink sacks. And a uncommon loot bag. Let's see what we got in it. Ooh, more podzol and nether quartz. That's cool. Whoa. Diamond shard. It's only getting. You can only get it from the epic loot bag. Oh my god. But I got more podzol, which is nice. Let's go ahead and start making some more dirt. Hey, I keep seeing a name tag down there. I don't know if that's just me or not. Fill that back up, grab, bloop, bloop. Alright. So there's one more still cooking in there. One more full, and then a singular extra piece. Go around and collect all this. I don't want to use the axes in case or the obsidian axe in case it's actually a bad thing, but it voids the craft. So instead I'll just make, actually, no, I'll wait. I'll just make some dirt for now. Because this is almost done. Do I need one more? I think I need one more. And then, once this is more filled in, it'll be a lot easier. Squids die down here so often, it's actually insane. I should just set up like a hopper system underneath there, and just have it go all the way back to my base, just get all the ink sacks out and just collect the loot bags. Oh, big brain. Alright, the mesh are going in here for now. So I'm gonna need a lot of iron. And you know what? Go ahead and make this. Because I already know this can easily make a back. So that's already really nice. Alright, let's go ahead and load up the last two. Alright, one more piece. Once that's done, I'll have the last piece. Actually, I'll be slightly impatient, I'll do this. Now I have a nice little bit of this. And I don't know if it matters which order they're in. It does not. But now I have the Obsidian AIoT. So now... And then I can also enchant this thing too. I just realized I can enchant it. and this would be even crazier. Alright. I need 16. There we go. So that way I can make 4 more lavas, so I can make 4 more obsidians. Alright, let's go ahead and replant. And make more gravel. Or not gravel. Dirt. I'm hoping that this will actually roll over to more than 1 stack. Otherwise, crafting the chest was useless. I really hope it rolls into a new stack. Like, it makes like 65 in this. Or like, it's just only dirt, but you can hold an infinite amount in it. Alright, there we go. Ooh, nice. Alright, I'm gonna put this piece back where it belongs. And I'm out of hunger again. So I might actually have to start setting up a I got a lot of zombie flesh. How do I make that? I think it's a drawing rack. There it is. 3 slabs. Let's just go make 16 of them. And I need to, I want oak. There it is. Alright. So I'm going, where should I have it even? It's like I have that one there, but I want to have like a much larger area to work with it. Guess I have it right there. I'll just need, you know, make some slabbing. There we go. Alright. So now this should be fine. This. Oh, and I fell. And that's why I have that. I'm gonna do this, and I'm actually gonna add that there. 2, 3, 4. Not 5. Do that. Oh, I think it was supposed to be twisted in a different way. That way. Trying like this. And then I can take this Oh, I composted it all, that's right. Oh well, I can do that. Takes, I believe, 8.5 minutes for it to transform. Which is fine. It just means that that is going to have to become a lot more powerful. I don't know if me being in here causes it to work faster or slower. Don't know. I don't think I'll ever know. But oh well. Alright, let's see. More nether wart. Ooh, the next little bit of cobblestone should be done now, too. Yep. That. A new piece of obsidian. Alright. Let me actually go ahead and do this. Now, another thing I have to do. And that's this. So. Alright, that's gonna take too long if I try to go that way. How do I get this? Hay bale and a mana pool for sugar cane. I can get a common loot bag. Lucky egg drops. Can do it. Plus some music disc, golden apple, and pearl diamond. Yeah. Every way that you can think of, I need paper. And rice is not a viable option, so I'm gonna think of something else. Unfortunately. Alright. How do I make a mana pool? I just need a cheap one. Living rock. With a pure daisy. Which is 4 mystical white petals around a petals apothecary, which is crafted with mystical feathers, cobblestones. And they get this. I need a mystical white flower, which can be gathered with mystical flower essence, which requires mystical flower seeds tier 2, which requires clusters, which requires mystical flowers, which requires the stuff, which requires this. So it's a feedback. So how does one get this if this requires this? I don't know. And I do need a chance to sieve mesh, but I do not know how if I don't have a book. And that's something I'm gonna have to figure out. I do have 2 paper. Problem is I need 3. What can I use this for? Can I make something with paper to increase paper production? of these are gonna do. D-map, drill block placing, augment. Submarine sandwich. Paper wall. Backpack stuff. Filtered items redirection. Paper bark sapling, but it requires 3, and I have 2. It has a common loot bag, so at least I can get it pretty often. Hey, squids, can you drop some for me, please? Oh, it's actually had a common loot bag. I'm hoping that it actually has what I need and not just some random garbage. Alright. Oh, I got 2 of them. I got 2 chances. Nope. And although, can I use the sugar to rework it into sugar cane? Probably not a crafting method, but just want to see. It's not looking like it, unfortunately. But that is fine. I'm still gonna go through it all. Yeah, none there. Swiftness, Hellfire Forge, give me table, which as usual, can make bread with a wheat and sugar with a blood orb. Alright. Tentacle Brewery, Speed Veil, Mana Powder, the Vat, Solderer, Coffee Maker. Yeah, I want the crusher, but can't craft it yet. I have done that. Does sugarcane seeds, is that a thing? Needs to be a thing. It is. Oh my god, this is how I get it. Give me the dirt. It will not grow any faster. Okay. Do I have more of it? Nope. But this is really exciting. I have sugarcane now. I could have had it this entire time. Oh, it's fine. Crusher can make cobblestone into gravel, gravel into sand, slag into sand, glass to sand, quartz to quartz, glowstone to glowstone dust, blaze rod to blaze powder. 4 of them. Oh lord. Well, that's actually really nice. There's so many ink sacs. Ooh, got a new common loot bag that I can open up now. That's nice. What's in you? Beans, birch sapling, coal, and another leather tunic. What can I use this with? Not much there, not much here, not much here. Just make leather. It does do more protection than this, so I'm gonna toss that off. I'm missing pants, and it's still doing the same amount. Wait, I have fertilizer. I don't know how it works, to be honest. But oh. Still, this is really nice. Go ahead and make some more dirt. How much dirt do I have now? 37 total. Is it a thunderstorm? It is not. That's good. Alright. Let's see. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this and do seed. Just make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, I'm not. Oh, another good thing this has. Does this work? Nope. Dang it. Oh, worth a shot. This. Got that. Now I have two. Got a third one making and a fourth one after. Oh no, the rain. Actually, you know what? I can make grout. I can make some clay with this. Actually, what else can I use it for? Barrel. This one. Food block transformation. Only clay. Now I can make netherite. Let's put it on top. Fire water bucket. Interesting name. But yeah, looks like all I can do is just make clay. Okay. I don't want to waste. Actually, it's nighttime now, so I'm just gonna go to sleep immediately and not worry about it. And then collect the water out of it, throw it away. Actually, let me get that thing. That way this side is protected now. I will need two more. One for here. One for here. Alright. Trying to put more of that in there, and then This is now entirely full. This is nice. So now, I guess what I could do now is just fill in the bottom down there. Those two are almost done. Wait for him to get over more. There we go. Ooh, a potato! That's cool. What can I make with you? Nature has to make a poisonous potato. Culinary generator. Cellular blocks. Pies, food. Anyway. Make a baked potato, which can make me into food. Dirt. And burned food. So I think you can make me some food. Alright. Just gonna very quickly plug that back in. But it says I can make that go by faster if I use SNAD. I do remember that when looking ahead. So I'll make 4 blocks of it real quick. There's the other one. Then I can also get some more dirt back. Alright. I don't know how much faster it grows. It just said later on in the book, proves the world that sand grows sugarcane faster than dirt with a block of SNAD. So technically I'm already doing this. Craft an iron seed, diamond seed, solium dagger, supremium armor. What the hell? Hatch a dragon egg and tame it. What the hell? What the Oh, okay. Well, that's definitely something that we can look forward to. Time comes. What is the pain doing? That's our magic bean, bean stove, veggie stir fry, food, more food. What's this do? Experience imbue. Okay. I do have an obsidian. Oh. It just lasts a lot longer than this and gets better protection. But oh well. Ooh, speaking of which, this is waiting for me. Come on, Snad. I need to grow a little faster than that. I guess I could see this. Oh. I can't do all of it. And what's the chance I get sugarcane seeds? 8%. Oh, there's a witch in there. I think it's gonna take forever to die. Look at this. It goes down pretty low and then it regenerates its health, so have to kill it. Oh, I dropped an uncommon loot back. Alright. What do we get? Mineral sapling. Oh. Which I can make into a dead bush if I so feel like it. I can make water out of it. I can make the rune of spring if I have fire, water, and wheat, and one more of it. More dead bushes. More dead bush. Growth reagent. Make the ritual. The penance ritual. Okay. Ah, I can make more Lexicon Boltania. Whoa! Any of those 7 following biomes? And another easy to do. I literally just got like, oh, those dimensions, and then interesting. There's a door, a wood, a grass, snow, the sapling, ender pearl, a piece of glass, and another star. Alright, let's... Oh! Interesting. Meneglin discovery. What is that? Crystallized mineral chunk. Which can make quite a lot of stuff, actually. What can this make? Not quite as much. Oh well. Oh, I go pretty deep into the tree. Also, it's enriched, it means it has the piece in it. Okay. Let's build a colossal chess structure. Interesting. Oh, blue wood. Mineral berries. I can eat them, but make stone torches. How do I make one of these? A cooked piece of food, a furnace generator, and 2 redstone. No, like this. A furnace, 2 redstone, 5 iron, and a machine block. And how to make this? 4 iron, 4 redstone. Nah. Actually make 4 of these. Okay, crusher. Okay. So how did I get there? Alright. Furnace generator. So, for this, I just need 2 pistons, the block, and 6 iron. So I need a lot of iron, because I need to break a lot of that. Why does it sound like dirt? Why do the leaves sound like dirt? I'm actually getting a lot of these berries. That's pretty interesting. Oh, hey, my sugar cane grew a little bit. Finally. Took it forever. Let's keep this train going. So, got mineral stuff now, which is cool. Let's see. No new bags. Oh well. Alright. Let's go ahead. Let's actually build the actually, how do I make this? Alright, how do I make this? It's a little bit bad. Alright. Oh, we already know that's a dead end. Oh, alright. Go out that way. I'm actually gonna build out of birch, so that way I can designate it as, hey, there's a different piece of land. Different thing. Alright. This one I'm gonna count as space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Alright. So we're already there. But I want to keep that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little walkway around this. So now this does not get touched. Go one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's 5, 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 back. 5, 6, 7, 8. Is 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, this is 13 now. So now I'm going to go this way. And very carefully walk back this way. this way, and then go make some more birch. And now I have the last little piece of obsidian. One of these, so that way I can. But I need these as well. There we go. Enchantment table. Boom. Now, can I enchant this? I can. Just outright. That's cool. Bring the stack down to 11. If so, that would be really nice. Beautiful. Now I just gotta make a ton of dirt. Jeez, that's gonna be a lot of just backs and forths, unfortunately. I'm gonna do this way, even though technically give me less resources to use, but I think it'll actually give me more of the saplings, which is easier to use. Let's go ahead, do this, this, and very slowly walk by because I'm out of hunger. Two more blocks. Alright, this will be filled out eventually. Let's see. Anything to use down here? Nope. I think I can actually automate that. Pretty sure I can automate that because I have the quartz and everything. Iron, redstone. All I gotta do is make a hopper minecart and I can have an infinite sugarcane farm. That'll be nice. Alright, let's go ahead and fix those two. And now let's, pretty sure that I can just, yeah, I can just compost those as well. I don't think I'll be needing them, but, oh. I would do this without apples as well, but focus is too unpredictable. wood now. Whoopsie doopsie. There we go. Actually, I have an idea for these birch trees. Now I can make sure I get all of them. All of the leaves immediately. Might go like a ring around the entire outside where I can actually walk and then go onto the leaves and just shred them apart. I don't know if it'll be more effective or less effective. It's definitely something I can do. It's not like I don't have any way to make more trees or whatnot. It's also not like I have plenty of wood either. Go ahead. Some sticks so I can make some ladders. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to move this stuff to here, but that is easy to move. Alright. And then this, break this torch, move it there, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This way I won't like bug with the leaves. Alright. 3, 1, 3. Oh, I also have that to land in. Alright. So I get up here. Just do this. Then I get down, I can just quickly fall on that. Actually, let me go ahead and quickly grow all the trees over here. Okay. There we go. Oh, one more. Come on. I know you can do a tree. Come on. There we go. Alright. Head up the ladder. And continue. I was only further like pushing the fact that I gotta be careful and not fall off or extend the stone part. Because if I fall off right now, there is nothing catching me except for the trees that I am actively moving away from. And there we go. So now I can hop onto the trees and just... see how many stuff I got when I'm done. Honestly, really nice clips now with the extra clips so they don't fall or cut too much away where I can't do this. Last little bit. There we go. All right. Oh yeah, this is way more effective. It is so much cheaper than and easier than doing it the way that I was doing it before with those shears. Now I just have all these stalks ready to cut down too. Let's quickly head down. Is there cheap hoppers I can make? No, it is only the expensive one. Okay. And I can't even make one. Alright. Oh. Guess I'll just do it the hand way. And I'll get some more gravel off camera. I'll go ahead and break this hammer actually against that and see what we get. And maybe I'll actually go back to the iron one. So now I can actually get some iron ore. Some iron ore pieces. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and enchant this. The unbreaking one. Go ahead, slowly walk back. Grab one. Because even this will make this last twice as long. Sieve efficiency 2. Oh, I might actually do that with the diamond one. Let's do a single level on that. So now I can get through that stuff faster. Alright. Oh, there we go. Sieve efficiency 2 and sieve efficiency 1. And it keeps it sweet. Go ahead and put that back in. Alright. More of this, more of this. Slowly walk back and punch. All these guys to their death. Now I got another single morsel of food in 8.5 minutes. Alright. Any useful goods down here? I can get calamari. Cool, I guess. Alright. I know I'm on like the absolute verge of death now. Which is not good. So let me go ahead and just take that. Put that there. Put this. So I can make some potatoes at least. There we go. What are the other enchantments I could get? But I will need that to get a lot faster. I have something that's low nutrition that I can do as well. Here we go. Beautiful. Oh, I gotta light that up. Hello. Oh, that's annoying. Alright. Immediately go to sleep. Alright, I'm gonna have to get some torches for that area. Oh my god, what the? I'm getting pieced up by a baby. What the hell was that? Oh, rotten flesh. Yeah, I really have to set up torches over there. Oh, parkour, let's go. Alright. Do believe I need to craft just one set of this. Plant that back. Alright, now I got more food. That's good. Just gonna throw that in there. Throw this up here. And I'm gonna go back with the stuff that I have. And make a good repair. Right there is where I need it. Nothing of use. Alright. Time to make some more dirt. I guess while that's going, I'll just get rid of all this over here. So that way more trees can be planted and I can get even more stuff. To be really good. Chop, chop, chop. Chippy, chippy, chop. Chopping away all of the logs. Gotta clean it up so I can plant more trees. Do-do-do-ba-do-do-do-do-do. Only 2 more trees. I'm calling them trees. They're just stalks of wood on tiny pieces of dirt. I missed twice. How did I miss twice? That's embarrassing. Alright. Go. That. It's even more sugarcane than I have. Go ahead and break a tree. Break. Actually, what am I doing? I need this tree to stay. I need all of them to grow, so now I can get even more saplings. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this jerky from here. How long does this have? Not that long and not that long. Okay. Alright. I think I'm just gonna get rid of a little bit more saplings and then I'll call it there. So I've been streaming for quite a while, so and I need to get to bed at some point because it is quite late at night for me over here. Unfortunately. Do not worry. On the next VOD, we'll have a lot more gravel that we'll be able to use on the sieves. We'll actually get back to work down there. We'll fill all that in so we have a usable emergency layer in case something goes wrong. And over here will also eventually be filled in. Actually, I should probably craft more of those if I want to be smart. I'll grab these 2, move them over there, and then I can get rid of a full stack of stuff very quickly. Just one more of that going in there. This means I'm going to have to make this stuff speed up much faster in order to keep up. Alright. Last check. Oh! Rare loot bag. That's nice. Alright. We'll open this up and then I'll call it there. Let's see. What do we get? lesser magic beans and green slimy dirt. Just what I wanted. Alright, but yeah. So that's gonna do it there for today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into the stream, as well as for sticking around if you did end up watching it live. If not, that's alright. I live stream every Thursday night for 2 hours, and I try to start within 15 minutes of the time that I say I'm going to go live. So yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye now.